Our News from the Hill segment tonight. Yesterday on the Senate floor, Senator Elizabeth Warren was blocked from reading a letter written in 1986 by Coretta Scott King, accusing Jeff Sessions of wanting to keep black people from voting. The letter was written when Sessions was nominated for a federal judgeship. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell invoked Rule 19 when Senator Warren read the letter on the Senate floor. This rule prohibits senators from making personal attacks on one another. Take a look.
Mr. President.
They are.
Mr. President.
The Majority Leader.
The senators impugn the motives and conduct of our colleague from Alabama as warned by the chair.
I am surprised that the words of Coretta Scott King are not suitable for debate in the United States Senate. I ask leave of the Senate to continue my remarks.
Is there objection?
Object.
I appeal the ruling.
Objection is heard. The senator will take her seat.
With me now, founder and proprietor of ReaganBaby.com, Megan Barth. Megan, hi, how you doing?
I'm doing great, Liz. Thanks.
All right, Megan, this is quite the drama. I mean, Senator Warren silenced on the floor of the Senate, reading the letter from Coretta Scott King. Now, there is a rule, Rule 19, against impugning a fellow senator. But, Megan, I got to ask you, was this a serious enough violation of this rule to create this type of drama? Or does the GOP just have too thin of a skin to criticism?
Look, rules are rules. And for far too long, the Democrats have gotten away with going around the law and not following the rules or creating their own laws based on fiat. So when the rules are applied to the lawless, they don't like it so much. And Democrats always resort to personal attacks. And we have to remember what Margaret Thatcher once said. Once her opponent resorts to personal attacks, she knows they don't have a political argument left.
Right, and I agree with that in a certain sense, but let me play the devil's advocate here, push back. Senator Warren had nothing new to say that has not been an accusation already levied against Senator Sessions. I mean, the poor man has seen it all. He has heard every accusation in the book. What could it have possibly hurt to let her continue what she was saying versus giving her all the media attention that she's gotten since then?
Well, it could have hurt the Senate. It hurts the rules. It hurts decorum. There is decorum in the Senate halls, and some people have broken it in the past and have been censured accordingly. And so what makes her immune from being censured?
Perhaps nothing in the opinion of Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell here. To me, Megan, when I saw this, I have to admit, I thought it played into the stereotype, the untrue stereotype, but the stereotype of the GOP, of old white men silencing women. I mean, part of that I know was Senator Warren playing the victim here, but perception to some people is reality, and that is what it appeared to be.
Senator Warren has a habit of using the Senate or her Twitter account or wherever she can to insult her opponents, and she does so in a very vile, personal manner. And so for this to carry on within the halls of the Senate is simply in a breach of Senate rules. So again, she should not be above the rules of the Senate. And I am glad that Mitch McConnell enforced the rules, because for so long the rules have been ignored and the laws have been ignored and not enforced.
Right, and my biggest issue here, I think, besides perhaps thinking it was not the GOP's smartest move, my biggest issue was the double standards, Megan. When we hear Democrats talking about free speech, I mean, when I looked at my Twitter feed this morning, you would have thought that someone had been bound and gagged and prevented from saying anything. And to me, it's just mind-boggling, because just last week we saw that happen to Milo Yiannopoulos. You know, that's the same week, a couple days later, we saw it happen to Gavin McInnes. We saw it happen Inauguration Day, or the day after Inauguration Day, that weekend, with pro-life women at the Women's March, when everyone's free speech is culturally being shut down. The Democrats ignore it, but when Senator Warren, yet perhaps she did technically violate this rule, and they claim that it was the biggest violation of free speech, you know, in modern history. To me, I just can't stand that type of double standard.
Yeah, the Democrats can't have it both ways. And the riots that broke out in Berkeley, the Democrats want to talk about protesting. Well, there is a right to peacefully assemble, but they have no right to destroy property, as we saw in Berkeley, as well as we often see with the anarchists and communists of the left and the coalition of the violent behavior that the left seems to condone. So when it comes to the floor of the Senate, at least we can have some safe space, I guess, in order to abide by the rules and play by the rules as a senator should. And again, it comes down to decorum. And Senator Warren has violated decorum multiple times. Perhaps she didn't learn that at Harvard while she was an Indian.
Right, and I do want to address one more thing here, and that's Senator Jeff Sessions himself. I mean, Megan, we've all heard the accusations of racism. They've plagued him his entire career. They cost him a federal judgeship back in the 1980s. I mean, the same accusations are being levied against him right now. This is a tactic by the left. They call policies from the GOP extreme. They call people from the GOP racist. We've seen it time and time again. But if you look at Senator Sessions' record, Megan, if you look at what he accomplished as a white man in the South, I mean, he helped desegregate schools when they were segregated by race in the South, and he presided as Attorney General of the state. He presided over the execution of the son of a KKK member who murdered an innocent black teenager. I don't understand why he's the one who is the target of these accusations of racism.
Because he has a very powerful position in the upcoming administration, and that is as Attorney General, again, where he is going to enforce the law and uphold the Constitution. And that's two things that Democrats don't seem to like. And so for Senator Warren to use the Senate as her bully pulpit, that is simply no place for it. She has plenty of time outside on her Twitter, as I said, as well as other places to defame Jeff Sessions. But in the halls of the Senate, it is simply not allowed.
Right, and I mean, that's what we saw last night. Megan, we're out of time. Thanks so much for coming on the show.